Why is it doing that? Why is it acting like... No. I'm just testing to see if this is on. There we go. Okay. It said I was live, but wasn't showing anything, and that was a little worrying. Okay, so go and make some adjustments here. Actually, yeah, that's fine. I think I'll do that too, and this, and yeah, that's good. Okay, well, happy Flag Day, everyone. Um, that's not what I've come here to talk about, though. Not Flag Day, though I do like Flag Day. Um, I've gotten maybe, I don't know, close to 3,000 subscribers since June 16th last year, and that's the official anniversary of the bicycle accident. I intentionally did not look at the video that I put out after the accident because I wanted to. I wanted the thoughts that I shared now to really be the thoughts that I had after a year, and not just a rehashing of the thoughts that the thoughts that I had then. What's going on, Tom Nook? Wow, you're not white. Yeah. I don't know that it was I don't know that it was hidden, but on my father's side, I'm a third generation born in the U.S. His family's from Puerto Rico, and then beyond that from Spain. And on my mother's side, my mother was my mother immigrated from Central America. So on her side, I am a first generation born American. But yeah, I guess I'm not white. I don't know. I also hate checking off those little census boxes for anything. It's like this data, you just have to know that I exist. If I have a signature, then I'm here. Somebody signed. So, but yeah. Okay. Gosh, we've got some things. Amy, how are you doing? Your voice is so different. Yeah, when I didn't. Let's just go with it, right? My normal speaking voice. This is roughly what it sounds like, but the way that things work. So when I'm narrating, not when I'm Papa Bones. When I'm narrating, I do that first thing in the morning. Your voice is naturally deeper first thing in the morning. And I do like my commercial voice, like when your macaroni and cheese needs to be the cheesiest, choose the blue box, that sort of thing. And but Papa Bones, Valentine Kilmore, he kind of talks like this. That is really difficult for me to do AM. Really, that's the sort of thing because your voice, the pitch naturally increases as it gets later. 5, 6, 7 p.m. is the better portion of the day for me to try to go and do Valentine Kilmore's voice. So, so yeah, it's different at the time of day, and there's natural inflections and things like that you do. I'm a voice actor, but not really. I do it because it's part of the cost for me to put out content. If I had a really large channel and a big team and everything, I wouldn't I wouldn't bother with that. I would do more. I would be a writer and a director of photography at that point. I guess maybe a director also, and I'd have somebody else edit. But because it's me and Mrs. Super Horror Show, this is what we do. This is what we do. Thank you, Amy. Amy says it's nice to see my handsome face. I agree. I hadn't looked at any of the photos or anything like that. I looked through them today because I was thinking, like, I'll probably put some up in the community tab because for people that hadn't seen them, give it a little refresh. Um, the accident that I was in, the bicycle, it was very serious. I got a concussion, um, and because of that, there are large portions of things that I just didn't remember. Now, it's so lucky for me, pardon me, that I live in a day and age when uh, all of your medical records, you can get so many things just like from apps now. This is incredible. We're living in the future. So before I stopped my occupational therapy, I went and I read through um, what the hospital had said about me that day. And some of it, because I remember so little of it, some of it was really, really scary. One thing was they asked me what my pain level was, and I said an 8 out of 10. I am not someone. For me to go above a 3 is ridiculous. So for me to say that I had 8 out of 10 pain, that's a really special thing. Um, I can't even imagine the amount of pain necessary for me to tell them it was 8 out of 10. So, uh, yeah, it was just wild. So I was able to read that. Amy says they never have the correct box for her on the census. That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about the year in review. And like I said, I don't know if I said, I don't know if I wrote it down or not. Oh, I wrote it on Twitter. That's why I wrote it. Um, Not everything has been bad. To be quite honest, things right now are pretty good. I actually I actually weigh less now than I did before my accident, which is pretty cool because after the accident, I couldn't move my arm. Uh, you'd be surprised how often your arm moves when you're doing things that are not arm related. Like jumping. If I was to jump, the act of landing, there would have been pain in my elbow. So I lived a very sedentary life for at least 6 months. And that's not like me. I mean, I got into the accident while riding a bike, like being outside, hiking the woods. After my accident, even hiking places where I'd hike dozens of times, it was scary to me because it's like, well, you use your arms to balance, and a lot of the places where I hike, there are different elevations and lots of rocks and things like that that you have to navigate. And how well would I be able to navigate using only one arm for balance? I ended up getting a walking stick, and I was able to kind of third leg it, and that worked out just fine. So that was pretty cool. But so I wrote some notes because trying to remember a year after the concussion is actually pretty difficult. There are still things that I don't remember at all, and that's kind of a weird thing to say because how can you remember not remembering something? What essentially happens is I'll be somewhere or doing something, and then I'll remember something that I used to know, but that I'd forgotten for an extended period of time. Um, this didn't happen recently. This was a couple of months ago, but I went to the store, and they asked for my club card, and I don't carry one of those. And they were like, "Do you have a phone number for this?" And I all of a sudden remembered, I do have a phone number for this. Hang on. And it was my wife's number. But the memory was completely gone. It was just didn't exist. So that's kind of what it's been like, just having different things float in. I found out that I was allergic to fentanyl. That was a painful thing to learn. It's valuable because I'm gonna, if my son needs, he'd probably be better off with morphine, because if I'm allergic to fentanyl, he might also be allergic to fentanyl. I don't know how many people here have had a concussion before, but I was waiting for about 48 hours in trauma for my surgery. And so they had me on Tylenol, and it was a fine mixture of drugs. And I'm not someone that often takes, and even over the counter stuff, unless I like really have to. But I noticed that some of the things, there had to be a psychological component to these medications, because I was really okay with a lot of things, and when I came home, they slowly became not okay. Like everything I saw out of my eye, I got this. There's like a little triangle thing. I don't think you guys can even see it. But there's like a little triangle. I don't know what kind of rock I landed on to create that triangle, but that looks like it might be here to stay. It's been there for about a year now. Um, but yeah, I'm at home and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I noticed why is everything looking orange out of this eye? It had been orange out of that eye the entire time, but it wasn't until I was off the medicine from the hospital that it started bothering me. Why can't I see out of this eye correctly? Why can't I remember things? When I was in the hospital, 48 hours, uh, these things they didn't bother me. Uh, the longer I was home, the more they bothered me. I can see just fine out of this eye now. That's not a problem. But it started causing a lot of stress. Recognizing, number one, that my memory was compromised, because once you know your memory was compromised, you don't know what you lost. And then, I mean, your memory in a big way is your reality, right? So if you have lost entire portions of your reality, how do you know that you have everything that you need, all the valuable things? And can you even really be convinced that what you are doing right now is real, right? Like I was at home and it was very late, and I couldn't sleep in my bed because my arm had to be put in such a weird position. I had to create like complex like ramps out of pillows to go and have my arm sit comfortably, so that way I wouldn't have to take the narcotic painkillers that they gave me all the time, because I didn't want to do that. So staying comfortable was very important, and ice and that sort of thing. But I was there and I was thinking like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep. It was pretty late. I don't remember how late it was, but it was pretty late. And I remember thinking like, what if I'm still in the hospital? What if this is that 48 hours? I could be dreaming that I'm home. Like, how do I know that I'm here? Because I know for a fact my memory has been compromised. And that was an incredible amount of stress. I told Mrs. Super Harshow immediately, because I mean, what was I supposed to do? Even under normal circumstances, if you have no one and you're stressed, what do people do? People pace a lot when they're stressed. I didn't even have this option. So I went and I called her and I told her what I was experiencing, and she's a genius. And she put on the TV, and there were words on the TV, and she said, "Can you read this?" And I could read it out of my one eye. I was able to read it. And that was the evidence that I needed for to know that I wasn't dreaming, because when you're dreaming, you can't, the words don't make sense. When I try to read in dreams, me personally, they say you can't read in dreams. I have done it, but the words don't make sense. It'll be words, real words, but they'll be kind of random. And when you reread them, or when I would reread them, they would change. The words would be different. So then I was able to have confidence that I was not in fact dreaming. I was home, even though my memories and things had been shaken up. What I was taking inventory of in that moment was reality, and that was really valuable to me. That alleviated some stress. Okay. Man, I was all over the place. I scribbled these notes. I was all over the place. When I was injured, my friends really, really came through for me. My friends at work really came through for me. I have friends in the medical field. I work as a home health aide in pediatrics. I take care of children that might be, either physically or emotionally like fragile. And been doing it for a while. And everybody really came through. I remember Pimposa, subscriber Pimposa, she had sent me some money, and I was so grateful for it because there were a lot of people working to keep things as they always had been. The problem with this is that I was in a situation where my needs were greater than they normally were, but I was able to work significantly less. I remember she sent me some money and I used it to buy pineapples, which are a natural painkiller and also help speed up with healing. I think in Italy they are isolating as a protein or something in the pineapple, and they'll give you tabs for it after surgery. You can get it scripted to you to help heal you. That doesn't exist here, but pineapples are fantastic anyway. I did a lot of juicing too because I wasn't really hungry. It's so bizarre. So many, there's like these little strange things that happened that I mostly credit with me hitting my head so incredibly hard because they don't make sense otherwise to me. They could have been for any number of reasons. I'm just not aware. And also, being that my mental faculties weren't even at their best, my ability to analyze the situation was attenuated, right? How can I? So that was my very poor analysis of what happened there. Some things that happened that I did mention on Twitter and possibly here, that not everything was terrifying and bad. There were some things that happened that were nice and good. I got a lot of phone calls when I was in the hospital, people wishing me well and checking in on me. When you first go to a hospital, people kind of want to see if you stay overnight because that's a thing. Like, okay, maybe you ate something, you didn't feel so great, you went to the hospital. Maybe your chest didn't feel so good, you went to the hospital. The doctor said you're fine. You go home, you sleep in your bed. When people saw that I was transferred to another hospital for trauma surgery, they realized it was a little more serious. And I don't know if they knew about the concussion or not. I suppose that when they saw me, when I got visitors, my mom and my wife, I was myself. I was able to speak, but there were things that were missing. I had trouble with numbers, and I am a numbers person. That's something that I'm really good at. I got a call from a very old friend of mine, and this was bizarre. And he called me and told me that I was really important to him, and him and we've known each other since I was 10. So it takes a long time to make an old friend. It really does. And he was really like pouring his heart out. And I was confused. So it's like, it was a bike accident. I'm going to be all right, And it's incredible because while I was going through this transition, he was going through his own transition. He was going to rehab, but I didn't know it at the time. I don't know if he was encouraged to call people that he, has connection to or not. I didn't realize until Christmas what had happened when our families are very close. And I asked, and they said, "Oh, he's in, I think it was Teen Challenge, which is a rehab with a very good recovery rate. So it's excellent. I've known other people that have gone and have come out clean and feeling good and really clever. Do a lot of reading. So that's when I found out, and that's when I put the pieces together. I was like, wait a second. Like, when did this happen? And it's like, well, he found out in June. I was like, he reached out to me, and they don't really allow, a lot of personal phone calls. You pretty much have to be on an approved list, and the time you get is so short. But our families are actually close enough that I've been there several times while he was on the phone with his mom and got to talk to him a little bit. But yeah, that's not a bad thing. From what I understand, he's doing really well, and I'm hoping he comes back this Christmas. I think he's going to be given the option to. And if he thinks he's good, I hope he takes it. If he thinks he needs some more time, they will let you stay a little longer if you need more time. But if I see his family enough, where when he gets these phone calls, I've been able to speak to him a little bit. Uh, his family, it's a tight knit family, right? I mean, even people on the outside um, have time, are have time with them. So I think that would be a nice thing. Looking forward to that. But that was kind of a quirky thing. We both kind of gone. It was very easy for me at that point to misinterpret the data. There we go. Um, Starting occupational therapy. They wanted me to start a month earlier, and I didn't want to because I didn't want to lose time working, and because things were already so difficult. Um, but the doctor eventually told me that you're in big trouble and you're not progressing as quickly as you should, and the damage that's being done, it can end up being permanent. Like, there are people where after this sort of accident, I shattered my elbow. um, there are no prosthetics, but there's a lot of screws to put everything together. um, I said people that recover from this, some of them, their arm just doesn't move after that, and need to have a moving arm, right? Like, I mean, need. I really wanted to have my arm have as much function as possible, especially considering when you go hiking, your arms are used for balance. So I ended up going to occupational therapy, and my therapist was one of the most amazing women I have ever met in my life. Um, I'm trying to find the right words to describe it without jumping too far ahead, but I'm just going to go with it then because it's very difficult. Uh, she would she would give you more time. She would give you enough time for you to realize that you had moved forward. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I went and well, first, my first thing was I wasn't able to make like a fist. This is my injured hand, and there we go. It's a good fist. When we last measured it, it was 98 pounds of crushing force, which is great because when I first got there, my left hand, I'm not left-handed, my left hand became my strong hand because it wasn't injured. It only had 80 pounds of force, so that's that might be what my right hand was at before, for all I know. But when I got to her, I would make this claw and it would shake, and I couldn't make a fist. And every night I would do my best to make a fist, and I'd look at my hand, and my thing was, what if a car came speeding by and I had to grab my son and pull him out of the street? Like, I have to be able to do this, you know. Um, and that's what people do too. When you get worried, you put yourself in terrible situations, and where there's like no help for you. You remove all help. Like in this situation, well, where's his mom, right? Or his grandmother? Where are his uncles? Where's anybody? Why are him and I alone and this car is coming? But when you're afraid of something, that's what you do. You remove all your help, and that's not fair. And usually life doesn't work that way. And I know that, and I've known that for years. It's not like this is something new that I've learned. But I could not. I need the ability to pull him out of the street. It's a rule, right? Even though I know that these things, the odds of them happening are so incredibly small, I need this. I can't have peace without this. She went and taught me how to wrap my hand up with ace bandages, and I was able to make a fist immediately. It was a weak fist. It was very weak, but it was there. Um, I started wrapping my hand up maybe every hour and a half, because what would happen is I'd wrap my hand up and I'd have the fist, even a weak fist, and when I'd unwrap it, it would slowly, where I couldn't do it anymore. But if I rewrapped, and that was it. I was just, nonstop. And then I didn't have that fear anymore at night because I knew if I just do what she says, everything is going to be fine. Actually, what she told me was if I do what she says, everything will go back to normal. This was a lie. This was a lie. It was not a bad lie. Okay? She told me what I needed to hear to give it my everything. As we carried on, she taught me about this thing. It was called post-traumatic growth. I didn't know this about her when I first met her, but she is a cancer survivor, and she explained to me that sometimes when something bad happens, you never get to go all the way back. It doesn't work. Okay? It will never go back to the way it was, but you grow in other ways. So even though something is weaker, attenuated, doesn't work, there are other, you actually become like a bigger person overall, you know. And she explained to me how it worked with her, with her treatments and whatnot. And one of the things we spoke about, because I became afraid after, man, it's incredible. By the end of my time in therapy, I had done this hike where there's a rope and you literally have to be able to support yourself. You're not climbing down the rope. It's not like that, but it's very steep and it's dangerous, and you have to climb this rope to get to a waterfall. I'll put a picture of this up in the community tab also. I had made the hike when my arm started working again, but I never went down to see the waterfall because my arm would have to be able to support my weight, and I wasn't there. This was last year. Well, this year, maybe in May or late April, we went again, and this time I was able to. Must have been it was April. It was April. I was able to do it. I took a bunch of photos of the rope and I showed it to her, and I was like, I was able to do this, and she was really happy for me. But I was still going to therapy, and then I got I don't know if there's any musicians listening, but I got a U-bass. I'm gonna go pull this sucker over. U-bass is a very nice thing. I don't play bass. I played guitar since I was 16, and Papa Joey introduced me to the idea, and actually just introduced me, period. I didn't know these things existed. It's a bass, but it's the size pretty much of a ukulele, but it's a full scale. They're nice. This is a nice thing to have. And I'm not a bass player, and that's okay. But I was practicing on this instrument, and it's a new instrument. I'm not a bass player, and it came to me kind of all at once. Like, there are people going to this rehabilitation center that are not going on hikes where they can support their weight and see beautiful waterfalls, and they're not in a position to go and pick up a new musical instrument and make a little noise with it. They don't have options like that because they're not there. Why am I still here? Why am I still there, And it was because I was so afraid, like, what if... And I wasn't afraid of something going backwards. Like, I had, at that point, I was like 90 pounds of pressure on my right hand. Not bad at all. It was like, what if I find another problem and then I can't sleep anymore again because I'm worried about, like pulling my son out of the street. And the problem with this fear is that you're afraid of an unknown. Like, if I knew the thing that would happen, I could work on it now, but I became worried that I would discover a limitation down the road. And the brilliance of my occupational therapist, when she was told she was cancer free, they stopped the appointments. She was in the doctors very often when she was being treated for cancer, and this was one of the last conversations that I had with her. Um, she was so afraid when she left because she's like I need to like she needed that stamp of you're okay, you know, that she was getting every week, or that something was moving in the correct direction. And it ties back into, oh man, you got to be kidding me. do, 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 do. This user's messages will be hidden. Thank God. I am so sorry, Papa Joey. What's going on? Papa Joey, or there are a handful of subscribers that have my phone number. Should this ever happen again, please interrupt the stream. Call me immediately when I see you on the. I will go and know something has gone wrong. Why? Oh. Why? Oh, okay. It's alright. If that's the worst thing that happens to us today, we are doing okay. And you know what? To be completely honest, I think that's where it's going today. I think that's the worst thing. That might be the worst thing I've seen all week, though. Naked HD. What? Oh my gosh. Why? I'm gonna pretend that I didn't see that stuff, because. No, I'm not. There's no need for that. This is the internet. Everybody knows how to use Google. If you're on YouTube, you have unrestricted access to all kinds of things, not just adult material. I guarantee you I could find ways to create explosives or all kinds of, craziness. Nobody needs you to do this. Like if I was in some place where it's like, well, I'm the only one. You're not special. Stop it. Anyway, so post-traumatic growth was one of the last conversations we had. And because when she had to stop going to the doctor, she was afraid. She did not, kick me out of the nest. I was definitely capable of flying. You know what I mean? I didn't need to be there anymore, but I was so afraid. And then because it's very difficult to grow when you're afraid, right? I don't know if anyone's, if you've really thought about it. Being afraid is one of the worst ways to learn something. Because I wasn't afraid and I was given that space, I was able to realize on my own, I'm back opening jars again when other people can't do it. Hikes, practicing a very fun new instrument. Let's leave the spot open for somebody else that needs a little more help than I need, and that was it. That's how it left. I told her that, yeah, it was like the writing's on the wall. We've reached the point, right? And I'm still improving. Oddly enough, I didn't think I was gonna improve anymore. I can't go perfectly palm up. It looks like I can, but what's really happening, the doctor told me, is I've learned how to compensate with this portion of my hand. Instead of using my wrist, my hand is literally like twisting. It's functional. I'll take it. But even my flexion and extension, it's still improving it slowly. Which is incredible. Because when I stopped, I thought to myself, if this was as good as it gets, I'm okay with this. I didn't have, as far as post-traumatic growth, I don't know that I experienced a lot of it. I will say that I hope that my son knows to always wear a helmet now. And the ridiculous thing is, I was never anti-helmet. In fact, I was talking about getting a helmet later that week because I wanted to go and ride on, they have like the rails to trails, the old train lines when they're out of, they'll like decommission them and then turn them into bike trails. It's cool. That was the goal. And So yeah, I was gonna get a bike, like a helmet the next day or so, and instead I hit my head. So um, if my son always wears a helmet, maybe it will prevent something really bad from happening, something that can't be taken back. And for you guys too, when you're your children, just put on a helmet because the concussion was one of the scariest parts. The not being able to make a fist was terrifying, but she solved it all at once. Where the concussion, I still now, and I'm not scared anymore. Now it's like treasure surprises, right? I'll be doing something and I'll remember something, and it's usually a nice thing. It's like, oh wow, I remember. Yeah, there was a thing. There was a thing that happened there, and that was, you know. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I'm so glad I wrote these things down. So my accident was June 16th last year, or June 14th, very close. Um, One thing that happened between then and now is I saw my father for the first time in almost 20 years. Of course, we took a picture. I'll put that in the community tab too. Um, when it happened, like I said, I've got a lot of friends, and um, quite a few of them know that my dad and I had been speaking for almost 2 decades. I don't remember when we started talking again, and that's a concussion there. Like I don't know if we were talking before the accident. I'd imagine that we had to, but I don't know that for a fact. Because we could have started connecting immediately after, but I meant slapped that U bass. Papa Joey, I'm not ready for that. I actually don't even have a bass amp yet. I play acoustically for now, but it feels good. It feels good. But yeah, I my dad and I parted ways when I was 17. He was moving for work out of state, and I was gonna move with him, but uh, I went to school to be a funeral director, and where he lived, people would come to New York to go to school for funeral service. Like, wow, okay, so if that's the case, I kind of need to stay here. And then in the years that we were apart, there was a falling out. Not so much fun. Uh, and, and like I said, I got to see him like 2 weeks ago for the first time in almost 20 years. It was pretty incredible. Um, there were some things that I was thinking about while driving to see him, and I was wondering. So my dad and I, we were pretty close when I was a teenager, and I'm sure that helped keep me from doing a lot of ridiculous things. But I started thinking about not having him as a young adult. Like what kinds of what kinds of problems might I have been able to avoid it? And I thought about how I started attempting to like seek safety. Safety became very important to me. Safety is important, don't get me wrong, but you have to be willing to take your shot. You know, um, you can't be afraid of making decisions, or the extreme version of this is becoming paralyzed by fear of failure, right? Um, I do think that I might have been a little light in that department because it wasn't until, and I mean I had my son when I was in my early 20s. Having my son is what taught me how to be an adult male. I started doing the math. It's like, well, what do I want him to know? And or is it okay if somebody treats him this way? it was really easy to take advantage of me at work. It was super easy back then. This is before I was in pediatric home care. You know, I just run around, do everybody's job, whatever, didn't care. And it's like, no, these things are not acceptable. Like, someone needs to, whatever you're accountable for is what you're accountable for. Um, but it was really nice seeing him. Like I said, I took a photo, of course. I'll put that in the community tab too. That was a neat sort of thing. So yeah, that was my life. The year after, the year following, immediately that accident. Um, and I mean, as you can see, parts of it were just terrible, terrible experiences. I do think the concussion was the worst part. Not having confidence in your own thoughts and being able to confidently say, yes, I am here right now. That was very, very upsetting. And sometimes when you're down and you're just seeing orange out of this eye, you do wonder, is this what it is forever? Do I just see orange out of this eye now? Um, the doctors, of course, told me no, but you spend a lot of time away from doctors. You spend very little time with doctors, and it's easy to question when it's something so pivotal to you. So that's it for today. I guess it was a little shorter, and there was no spooky stories and that sort of thing. I am sorry, but I did want to get my face on camera because the last time I went live, I think I couldn't open this eye. And I'm nearly positive my arm was very like pinned. This one here that like I can move around. There goes my it's my scar there. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. So until next time, I hope you all take good care of yourselves. Make sure you wear a helmet if the activity warrants a helmet, right? And I'll see you guys next time.